concept of individuality, which is necessary for us to be consistent with language structures. Her next response is that there's no impact to the genocide. The slippery slope argument. It's not as first, she's not saying why slippery slope arguments are bad, but two, I'd say that my argument is that if rights were expanded to include all living creatures, it would lose its normative force. Is give an example of what would occur by saying that it would destroy its normative force. Her next response is that the term that the community is relevant, but this still defines issues. She's providing a definition. We talk about different definitions. That's still defining what animal rights are, but it's not talking about how that's grounded in normative structure and grounded on meaning. So she's been completely non-responsive to NC. Her last one just says turn is an assertion, not an assertion. I'm clearly winning arguments to NC. So extend the shaman to the beginning of the special results and the devaluation of all life makes rights meaningless. My argument is that rights will expand to include all living creatures. The concept loses normative force. Extension of this principle will lead to situations like Auschwitz where Jews were no different from a beetle you could crush underfoot. This means that we're destroying the normative structure of language when you affirm in the round. Remember, she's conceding the NC framework means you have to look into NC. None of these are terms. None of them are proving why the negative is inconsistent with language structures, nor is it proving why the term animal rights is grounded in the special moral value of individuals and why that's grounded in normative structure. These are just blatant assertions she's making that don't have enough warrants. Do air and neg on this issue because I don't have a 3-hour response. So do not let her develop these arguments in more than the next week. Each one was literally 2 sentences. There's no reason why you should value I'm doing a much better job of developing arguments than NC. So go to the affirmative case. So this is how they evaluate the round of the affirmative case. She's conceding my Cohen evidence, which I did comparison last week to show why this links back to her conception of communitarianism because it talks about interrelationships, why animals can't ever meet that conception because they can't ever understand what comprehend what it means to have a duty or a right between reciprocal obligations. In addition, I'm winning 2 reasons why her framework is false. The first is that it's a non-sequitur. Just because the self is concept of the community does not entail that justice is what's contemplated the concept of the community. Therefore, she does not meet the resolution question of justice. In addition, I'm winning the other argument that the mailman example, just as the mailman does not have a right to read an individual's mail, the same way the community does not have any special moral value to the individual. In addition, she says her framework takes out the NC, but that just begs the question, she's winning her framework. She's not winning the framework. I'm winning the only offense to NC. Her terms do not link to the NC. My Cohen evidence clearly links. I'm doing better comparison with the Cohen evidence and her evidence because it's specific to rights. None of her evidence is talking about rights.
Wait, can I see the timer and the NC?
The timer? Okay.
And the NC.
The NC. Okay.
You should leave a slice version of the
Yeah, I know.
There's probably more pizza downstairs.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. The order is NC. Just going on the terms of the NC. Everybody ready? Okay. He makes a big mistake by just grouping the terms and writing them off so easily. He is not understanding how they are functioning and turning his case, and he is not spending enough time developing them. His argument about how you should air no and neg because there's no 3 and R is bogus. He should have just responded to these warrants, and he says his arguments are blippy. It's not like one, it's not like his arguments against the AC were any less blippy, and 2, these are still arguments with warrants that he is missing. So, extend the number 1 term first. First of all, his standard is consistency with language structures. That means if I'm able to prove that I am being consistent with language structures, that there is a language structure that promotes supports animal rights, and therefore I am being consistent with them by giving animals rights, that is sufficient to affirm. He is not responding to my arguments. Assembly number 1, which says that there is no one conception of normativity because there are lots of different ethical theories. That's obviously true. We have debates about ethics all the time. That's what we're here for. That means that there is no one overriding conception of what language means or what normativity is. That means that I can't be violating the one true conception of normativity. That means that because the AAC is good, because the AAC has cards in it that show why communitarian ethics are going to justify animal rights, or the very least, animal, the AAC provides a definition of animal rights that is grounded in normativity. It says that animal rights involve norms. That means that there are authors out there who say that animal rights exist, and that is the correct interpretation of ethics. Just because the fact that there's an author who defines animal rights, that means that there is still an interpretation of ethics that gives animals rights, even if this is not the one cohesive, true interpretation of ethics. There's no reason why his interpretation of ethics is the one true one either. He just says that this is additionally, his argument for the ultima argument, the ultima evidence, says that people make their decisions humans make decisions based on their individual, their ideas of individuals' worth. However, you can extend the number 4 return, which says that I'm talking about the community. So this invalidates his arguments at the individual. His ultima evidence talks about how we would about why only humans have worth as individuals. However, I explained very clearly in the last speech how my ethic and the AAC gets out of this. Is at the point where I'm justifying animal rights on communitarian grounds. That means that animals have rights in order to benefit the community. So I'm not underlying individuals' worth. Additionally, this gets out of the other argument because the communitarian values would still not allow for the genocidal impacts coming out of the shaman analysis, even if just because that would not be okay for the community. And so denying individuals' normativity is not going to take this out. So then you can extend the argument that there's no impact for why to genocide coming off the shaman argument. This argument is not going to be relevant because there's no reason why just because normativity, individual normativity loses some normative force means that all of a sudden there's not going to be any conception of morality. So here's how the round breaks down. Basically, the first argument proves very, very clearly why there's no one overriding notion of what rights are. His evidence just asserts that all grounds of all normativity is grounded in this notion that humans are the only ones with the individual worth. But at the point where the AAC presents a different theory of ethics that doesn't ground ethics in that means that is not the one conception of ethics. There is another conception of ethics that's going to give animals worth. His mishandling of the term that says there is no one conception of normativity and therefore there could be other conceptions of normativity that are true and give animals rights is going to be a reason why I'm not being inconsistent with normative normative language, and why I'm not being consistent with language. Therefore, I am animal rights. There is a room for animal rights in our normative language. So you affirm under the NC.
Yeah. You guys still need a flash drop?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Almost done.
Kevin.